What is up, fellow builders? Thank you and welcome back to the channel. So 2020 was a hot year for a lot of Gunpla releases, and we are expecting a lot for 2021. With that being said, I'm going to show you guys exactly what tools I plan on using for the entirety of 2021. Let's check it out. First off, I actually got this organizer here off of Amazon. It's really just a makeup organizer, but it fits pretty much everything perfectly in there. I mean, a lot of makeup things are used for Gunpla anyway, so it's not really that big a deal. So I'm gonna go over everything pretty much in the order that I would use them, and I'll probably try to have some links down below. That way, if you're interested in purchasing them, you can go ahead and check them out yourself. And first things first, some nippers. So here I have 4 different nippers. I've already done a review on these 3 with a little bit of this one in there as well, so if you're interested in knowing which one of these 3 to get, go ahead and check out that video. But yeah, typically with each build, I'll start off by cutting each part off of the runner with either these aMilla basic side cutters or these older Gundam Planet nippers. After that, I'll either use the USA Gundam Store single-bladed nippers or the God Hand single-bladed nippers to finish up the part. Next thing on the list is going to be our hobby knife. So this one is just a basic hobby knife from USA Gundam Store. It has a pretty small but sharp blade. It also comes with a couple extra blades, which is really nice. But I'll typically use this if there are some stubborn parts I can't get off with the nippers. But more commonly, I'll be using these glass files right here. Specifically the 2 from the Razor series. These ones just have a great amount of power to them. This one is equivalent to a 220 grit sandpaper, and this one's equivalent to about a 400 grit sandpaper. And they're both excellent tools to use. They definitely speed up the process a little bit, and they leave a nice shiny surface afterwards. Now this glass file is actually a cheaper one from Amazon, and I will be doing a direct comparison review sometime in the future, just to compare between what you can get on Amazon and a gun primer razor. But for now, I will say if you really are stuck on a minimal budget, it would be alright to pick up one of these. So those tools are used to clean up a part and get it off the runner, maybe put it together a little bit. But next, what we would want to do is detail the part. With that, I have these 2 things right here. This one is a panel line scriber from GSI Krios. I kind of prefer this one just because the tip is very nicely hooked, so it feels a little sharper and it feels like it gives a cleaner cut. However, this DSP IAE one is actually just a clamp, and you can put in multiple different types of bits into it. So I actually only have 3 right now. One of them is a 0.1, and the other 2 are actually thicker push broaches. So push broaches would be used maybe if you're trying to take a little more material out of a part. And with the GSI Krios, I also have another bit that is 0.3 millimeters. 0.2 millimeters. So it comes with a 0.3 millimeter chisel, and I bought a 0.2. just because the 0.2 is a little slimmer and it does look better on high grade and master grade kits. So after we're done detailing the surface, maybe scribing in some panel lines that we've added, we do need to clean it up a little bit. With that, I have these 2 sanding blocks from Gun Primer. So these are a little cheaper than I thought they would be. They're $6 for a pack of 3. I'm sure you can get cheaper sanding blocks elsewhere, but I happen to be ordering some stuff from Gun Primer anyways, so I decided to add them to cart. This gray one here is a more coarse grit, and this light one is more of a finishing touch, but not necessarily a buffing block. Actually, I think this is a buffing block. Okay, so this one's gonna make it shiny, and this one will clean it up. Along with that, if you've watched my streams, you know I use this old toothbrush head as well. This is just to dust off some dust from the parts, especially if you're using the razor. You can also use it to clean off the razor. Any toothbrush head will work for this. This is just from an old electric toothbrush that I had. Another important thing for panel lining is guide tape. So this is scribing tape. What it is it's essentially some tape that's a little bit thicker, has a thick plastic layer, so that when you're scribing, you can use it as a template and kind of guide where the chisel is going. And once we make those panel lines, then we want to fill them in ideally. With that, I use aMilla panel liner as well as this calligraphy pen right here. I have a tutorial on panel lining on my channel, so if you haven't watched it yet, go ahead and check that out. It explains why I prefer using a calligraphy pen versus the built-in brushes with these. Another good thing to have is Q-tips. So any Q-tips will work. You can find them cheap pretty much anywhere. These ones I got specifically off of Amazon, just because you can buy them in bulk for super cheap, and these actually have a pointed tip. And a big thing that I want to start using more this year in 2021 is this airbrush setup right here. So the compressor I have here is a Pash D3000R. It's a single piston compressor with a tank built in attached to it. That allows it to, one, stay a little cooler when you're operating it, and two, it gives you more consistent pressure as you're operating it. This model I like specifically because it is a lot quieter than other models. It's not silent by any means, but if you have something like a Master Airbrush brand compressor, this one is definitely quieter than that. And attached to that compressor, I have this Iwata Eclipse HPCS airbrush. So this is a gravity-fed airbrush. It has dual action, which means when you push down, it shoots air out, and as you pull back, you control how much paint is going in that air. Some airbrushes are single action, so when you push down, it sends the paint and the air at the same time, so you can't really control how much paint you're sending out. This is a really good intermediate to high-end airbrush to get. Honestly, it feels a lot better than any other airbrush that I've used before, and you can usually find replacement parts if you need them at a local hobby store. And of course, if you're airbrushing, you're gonna need some masking tape. These ones you can definitely find somewhere at a local hobby store. This one right here, I believe, is like 18 millimeters wide. You don't need to get something as thick as this. I also have some that are 6 millimeters and maybe 3 millimeters wide. Pretty much it's going to depend on what kind of project you're working on and what size you need for that specific project. And lastly, in my toolkit is something I didn't expect to like. It's actually this USA Gundam Store part separator. It's a really easy to use tool. Pretty much you put it between two parts that you're trying to separate that you can't pull apart with just your hands. You wedge it in there, and then you can kind of either twist and turn it if you're feeling risky, or you can lever it back and forth, and it'll give you enough space to actually pull the parts apart. And this has definitely saved me on a couple builds where I accidentally put some parts together before I had everything where I needed them to be. You could get away with using something like a guitar pick or even a small spoon or something, but if you're ordering from USA Gundam Store already, this is only $6 or $7, so it's not too big a hit, and it's just a relatively good quality tool. So that's it for my toolkit, guys. Let me know if you think I'm missing anything that I need to add in for this year. I'm definitely interested in hearing what you guys are using for your toolkits this year, as well as any big projects that you might be working on. Let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, I'm definitely hoping that this year is the year that I get way more into Gunpla and I start doing a bunch of different custom kits, maybe even some special detailing for some kits. But yeah, I think it'll be a fun trip for all of us. So if you're interested in upping your Gunpla game, go ahead and pick up some of these tools and start building.